I don't know why my stomach looks like it looks.
It does not look like that in real life.
I got washboard abs in real life. Today's episode is about journeys and peer pressure.
Yes.
We're going to talk about our relationships to like drinking and drugs growing up.
And fitting in.
Yeah, and how they helped us or didn't help us fit in.
Yeah.
In high school, I was
Yes.
super straight edge because I was, one, deathly afraid of my parents, and I couldn't get away with anything, even if I tried. And I also had this like fear in the back of my head that I was definitely going to become an alcoholic if I even tasted a drop of alcohol. But Angel, on the other hand,
Was the opposite.
young fearless God.
Yes. Or just stupid.
When did you like first start drinking, and like why? And did you like it?
I think my first sip of alcohol was in 8th grade. Did I like it? No.
Alcohol was disgusting in 8th grade.
Actually, that wasn't my first sip. My first sip of alcohol was in the Philippines when I was like 10.
Yeah, like when you're 10, alcohol, just smelling it is like, why would you put this in your body?
I was 10, and I think like my great uncle thought it was hilarious to give me like a spoonful of gin, like hardcore gin. And like, come on, taste it. And I tasted it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
but yes, 8th grade was, I think it was like the summer going into freshman year. And I tried my first beer. It was a light beer. I don't even remember. It was probably like Bud Light or something. I did it because my friends were doing it. Like snuck in.
Did you feel cool?
Yeah.
Where'd you get it from?
We stole it from their parents. It was like a sleepover. So we were like,
You
yeah.
think their parents didn't notice that like a whole ass 6-pack was missing?
No,
out?
I think there were certain parents growing up that had the mentality that as long as they're in my house and I know that they're safe,
Yeah.
rather than out there.
Yeah,
you know?
I used to like think those parents are cool because it was like at the end of the day they had done it when they were a kid. And
Yeah, so they know what it's all about.
But it was like mine didn't. So it was like that attitude was not there. So it was just like death fear. Like my dad doesn't drink still to this day.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like he'll buy a 24 case of like MGD and it'll last him like a year and a half.
Wow.
Like,
It's the party culture in high school. Friday night lights, got the football game, you would go, and then there'd be a party or a bonfire or something like that. Drive around, clam bake a car, clam bake your parents' car. That's just what you did.
you smoke too.
Yes.
Did
Yes.
you like it?
I did like smoking a lot. You know, it was a progression of smoking for me. I started with Black and Milds. One of my friends got a pack of Black and Milds. Like, we should try these. Okay, cool. Back then, I was like, these Black and Milds are tasty. These taste real nice. And then after that, the progression was a pack of Newports. And I hit that, and that was my first experience with menthol. And it was a mistake because then I became hooked on menthol. And then from there was my first experience with weed. And I hit a blunt one time in a garage, and it was awesome, and I loved it. That was and it was a social thing. You know, all my friends were like, you have to try this, you have to try this. I enjoyed that. I did not enjoy alcohol ever.
So like when you went to parties and stuff, do you think it was easier to hang out at the parties if you were drinking? Like, did you feel like you couldn't be at a party if you weren't?
Yes, it's like a cloak or something. It's like you're walking around, or your armor. Everybody has one.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, what do you got in your hand? Okay, I got this in my hand.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird. You feel almost naked if you don't have anything in your hand.
I mean, that's
And then
interesting.
also, when you're sitting around a bonfire and you guys are rotating blunts, it's really awkward when somebody goes like this, and then you're like, no. You're just kind of like, huh. So you can't mess up the rotation, you know?
That's interesting. When I was in high school, I was very like anti everything. So like I used
So
to.
was that hard for you to socialize with people?
No,
or-
I loved it. Like I thrived on that. Like I like for that same situation for somebody passing me, I'd be like, no, I'm good. Maybe like for real, and I'd be like,
But
Like, I loved it because, like, I got, like, a rush off of doing the opposite of whatever everybody else was doing. Like, I used to, like, draw on my clothes and, like, design my own clothes. It would be literally, like, a regular t-shirt with marker on it. And I would draw, like, my own brand on it and wear that and be dead ass serious. And, like, I would wear just random shoes. Like, I purposely would go off the other way.
That's super cool. And I think that that's a different perspective from me, because what it sounds like for you is that you really valued individuality.
Yeah.
You really valued that and being yourself and being original. For me, there's so many factors in my life growing up where I feel that all I wanted to do was fit in some sort of group. So whatever that was, I was trying to fit into it. So it was the complete opposite of what you were trying to do.
But I also had, like, a group of friends who are still, like, my close friends. So I think it was a thing that even I'm kind of starting to understand now, like, I took for granted at the time, was, like, not everybody had that. Like, I was friends with the same kids for, like, all of high school, like, all of college, and even now.
Right.
They were, like, the same people. So I kind of had, like, a family of sorts that I was with. So
that
it, like, nothing mattered. And even them, like, they would make fun of me, but it wasn't like, you can't hang out with us anymore because you don't do this. It was just like, oh, that's him. That's what he does. I used to think it was kind of lame when I would see kids just do stuff to try to be like a group of other kids, because I didn't know I really didn't get a chance to know what that was like necessarily in high school. Like, I went through it in junior high, but it wasn't, nobody was really, like, doing drugs or anything in high school.
No, totally. So I feel more like myself than ever before. And looking back at what we're discussing, like adolescence and stuff, a lot of it really had to do with me being in the closet and not admitting to myself that that's who I am. So the entire time growing up, all I wanted to do was find somebody that was like me, that I could relate to. So a community that I could fit in with. And so if it was alcohol or drugs that I needed to do to try to fit in, I was trying to do that because I was trying to create some sort of bond or some sort of relationship with people who I would never be able to tap because they're not gay. I was literally looking for that.
Yeah.
And I jumped from group to group to achieve that.
Yeah. So then when you were in college, did you still drink in college?
Yeah. And it was
different than high school?
So in high school, I hung out with all the cool kids or whatever, and we had our groups. We would always hang out on the weekends and stuff. But then I didn't really feel like I fit in with them, so then I started hanging out with people at this like teen nightclub up north. And those became my friends, and I was there every single weekend, and I would go because I felt like those people understood me. I fit in with them. We like the same music. We love to dance. That's something that we have in common.
And they didn't serve alcohol there, right?
No.
So it kind of like was the red flag there that it wasn't about the alcohol, because you were at this club that didn't even have alcohol.
Exactly.
But did you guys like smoke there?
No. I smoked cigarettes, but I wasn't smoking weed. I was never messed up when I would go there. Yeah. I can't say the same for the other people that were in attendance, but when I would go there, I was not, drunk or high. I was just really enjoying myself, hanging out with my friends and dancing to music. And that was something that I felt like I had in common with these people. Then when I went to college, I went over to one of those state schools in the middle of the cornfields.
There's nothing to do
but get wasted and party. And so essentially that's what I did. And it was cool, and I love the people that I met, over there. And I'll always remember those moments, but at the same time, I still always felt like an outsider. And that was my problem with everything. I just always felt like an outsider. And because alcohol was a common denominator in the social settings of these things, I felt like that was something that I could do to infiltrate these circles that I felt so outside of.
Yeah. So I didn't drink at all until I was like 21.
Which blows my mind. I don't think I know any other person. I don't. That their first sip of alcohol was actually at 21.
Because it was like when I was in high school and stuff, it was more that I was afraid of my parents, and then it kind of got to a point where I liked just being the guy who had never done it before. Because that same reaction that you had, like when I would say that at a party, people would be like, "What? You're lying." And then my friends that knew me would be like, "Nah, he really doesn't." And everybody would be like, "Wow," and like so blown. And it was just kind of like a cool party trick to me or something like that, like to say that I just like never did it. And it was also kind of like I was trying to hold some sort of record or like, I don't know, beat something, like competing with myself. One day I kind of was just like, maybe I'm missing out on something. And like me and my best friend went to this party and like got super wasted off SoCo on purpose. SoCo and beer.
Oh my goodness.
And I've never drank SoCo again since. I threw up all over the red line, like 6 times. Just blah, blah, all over the door, floor, platform,
Yikes.
everything in front of all these people.
Ugh.
After that, I was like, all right, I definitely did that wrong because it was my first time. And then people would be like, you're just not doing it right, or you're drinking the wrong thing, or you're like, you got to find your stuff, or whatever. Like, it was always, did you eat? It was always these things. So then it was like, all right, I guess I got to like figure this out now. And then it slowly became, I think, ego thing because my other friends drank and it was one of those things where they would be like, bro, like, you're gonna have another one, we're having another one, you ever shotgun, you got a shotgun one and whatever. And it was like,
man, the shotgun.
so then you start doing this stuff because it's just like something to do. I think once I got to college, I was working at a restaurant, and like working in restaurants, it's heavy. Like people, they get off their shift, they got a bunch of cash in their hand. Who's going out?
They're out.
So it became like that, and you feel like this kind of like family bond with these people you work with because your job kind of sucks, but you make a lot of money at it, and the only thing to make you feel better is like going out together and wallowing in how much your job sucks and like drinking until like you feel better. So I got to a point like in my early 20s, like 21 to like 23, we're literally like 4 nights a week at least. Like,
You were just going hard.
we're going to get wasted.
Yeah.
But when I was at college, I didn't really do it in college like people typically do because I didn't live there.
You didn't do the dorm thing.
Yeah, and like the people that I knew, it was more like I was doing creative stuff with them, not like drinking. Like now in retrospect, it wasn't really about the alcohol necessarily. It was just like what I had in common with these people. So it was like my friends at school, I had the creative thing in common, so that was what we did. These people at the restaurant, like our misery was what we had in common, and drinking was what we had in common.
Right.
So like after that, like after college, you stopped drinking, but was that right when you moved here?
No, I still drank after college. I still drank. I was still drinking when I moved here. I spent a couple birthdays drunk out here. I almost like lost it going home from the Abbey on Laurel Canyon. Like, you might have to pull over. You might have to pull over. I'm not gonna make it. Not gonna make it. So I think I want to say 2 years. 2 years into. Well, wait, no. 3 years into living here is when I quit. So what was that? I've been here for 10 years. It was about 7 years ago. I get this question a lot. Did something happen? Are you okay? Are you in rehab? Are you in the step program? And I'm not. Nothing traumatic happened to me. It was just a realization that I just don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't feel like I needed it to try to fit in. And I, above all else, I didn't like how it made me feel. What I was sad about, though, was the weed, because I really did thoroughly enjoy smoking weed. And, of course, now I'm in Cali, so I get all the good stuff, you know? That's what I look forward to. I was like, yes, I'm going to smoke this Cali weed. This is going to be amazing.
So why did you stop?
Because every time I smoked weed, I would get sick. I think there was only maybe a handful of times, I count on my hand the times that I didn't throw up. But I was nauseated, like nauseous. I just couldn't do it. I kept trying and trying. All right, let me just take one hit. Okay, it's a vape pen. Let me just take one hit of this vape pen. Let me try the vape thing.
Yeah. Not even that.
No, and it's my body was rejecting it. My body just didn't want it.
Like, weed was a really interesting thing because I always saw that as like drugs. And when I started drinking, I was like, all right, I'll do this because you can buy this at a restaurant. It's like normal, whatever. Like weed, like I never really liked smoke in general. Like I hate it. I hate cigarettes. I didn't really like weed. I don't really like the smell of it. And I don't like smoke. Like I like air. Like just regular air is my thing.
I'm with you now.
Like oxygen, you know?
Yeah, I'm there now.
Yeah. Hooray to oxygen. I remember when I came out here, I was 27. We were at a party and like everybody was like smoking weed there. Everybody's like upstairs and we had already been drinking. And when I drink, like if I drink a lot, like I get real cocky. So I was trying to get this other guy there who's like a huge stoner to take a shot, I think. And he was like, nah, man, I'm not doing it. I was like, come on, bro, just do it. Just take the shot. What's the big deal? And he was like, I'll take a shot if you take a hit off this pipe. It was like a glass one. And I was like, whatever, fine, I don't care. And he's like, okay, you go first. So never smoked weed in my life. So he lit it and then I just like inhaled it. You know how you're supposed to like inhale it like into your mouth, not like straight to the lungs. So like I inhaled it straight to my lungs and it just like burned. And I just coughed and coughed and coughed and it just burned. It burned the next day and like still kind of burned the next day after the next day. After that, I was like, yeah, I'm good on that. That sucked. And then it was like it started all over again, the same way I do with alcohol. People like, you didn't do it right. You should try it with a bong, or you have to smoke joints. Like doing it like that is like you're too new to be smoking it out of a pipe. And it was like all these ways that you're supposed to do it to be doing it right. And then people were like, have you tried edibles? And then there's this. And I'm like, man, I don't do drugs, man. It slowly kind of became a thing because out here in California, like it's so normal and everybody does it.
Yeah, like I remember the first time I went outside to just smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
At this bar in Santa Monica, and I remember like, what is that? Oh my god, somebody's smoking weed right now.
Yeah.
And they're over there with the bowl, like. Like just in line, I'm like, my mind was blown. I was like, whoa, people are really out here. And that was before the legalization. Yeah.
And so it was like starting all over with people having all these different ones you have to try and doing it all these different ways. I felt like the kid again. I'm like, I just mastered what alcohols I can drink that won't make me throw up or that like I can tolerate the taste of it. I got to a point where I was like, I had tried weed here and there a little bit, like these little different things. But at the end of the day, like I was still like, I'm not totally sold on this. Like I don't really like the feeling of being high like that.
So, but did you look at alcohol and weed, let's say, as like a social thing? Like, did you feel like it was a social activity? Like you would go out to go bowling or something. You're gonna go hang out and pass around the blunt.
I never saw, like with weed, because I was so much older, like it's interesting that you put it that way, because I do think it was clearly a peer pressure thing that first time, because it was me trying to peer pressure somebody else who then peer pressured me back.
Oh no, I remember another party where I watched you get peer pressured.
Yeah. And so
like I was literally there and I was like, I don't know, guys. I don't know if you should be doing that one. This is a big ass bong. Like the bong was like this big.
Yeah.
And well, what do I do? Where do I hold? Where do I pull?
And again, was drunk. So.
And I was like, oh my god, don't do it.
Yeah.
You were funny. You disappeared like a ghost.
Because that's the thing. Like I don't like being like out of control like that. Where it's like I'm feeling, and that was the thing. Like with alcohol, I know
you still have a stream of consciousness almost.
But it's like you know what to expect from it. Like weed, I had never done it before, so like how I felt afterwards, like I didn't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, it was like Puff goes to Magic Tony.
Yeah, and I didn't want anybody to see me trying to figure out how to deal with it because it was foreign to me. And I think to this day that's still why I'm like not that into it, because I'm like there's way too much of this to like learn to figure out. And like sometimes it's fine, sometimes it makes me want to throw up. Sometimes, like, I want to go to sleep. Like, it's just too many different, like,
just
results.
Too many variables.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't really need to be doing this. As far as your question, it is interesting to me to think about it now because, like, I would have stayed not doing it if nobody was like, yo, man, you got to try this or you got to do it, or if I wasn't around it. If I wasn't in California.
That part of it is such a social thing. I mean, I can even just remember when we were out the other night and we had seen some friends of ours and they were talking about meeting your girlfriend and it was the mention of, oh, she likes weed. Oh, okay, we like her already. It was there was not even a question.
Yeah.
It was, oh, weed, like.
Yeah.
Hearing those things from me is almost like a pedal jog in my brain of when I was younger and try to do these things to fit in with people because
I never thought of that.
All my friends do it. And I feel like there's this camaraderie amongst people.
Absolutely.
That do it.
Totally.
And so, but I'm just not going to do it. But it still makes me feel like outside the circle.
What do you think is your circle?
That's a tough question. I've never thought of it. I've always been family centric. That's always been my consistent circle. I've always been a family person. Every group of friends from, my grade school to my high school to when I went to college, I had a good solid group of friends, and even to this day I have an amazing set of friends. But my one consistent has always been my family, because I've always felt in their circle.
So do you have like a thing that's similar to that, or that camaraderie thing, where if somebody's like, I have a friend who does this, or a friend who's into this?
I think lately it's been sneakers.
Yeah.
I think that's been kind of the thing that has brought a camaraderie amongst fellow sneaker people. I think it's different as an adult, though. When you're growing up, you think of your circle as big. You want a big circle. You want a lot of friends. You want to fit in. And some people might still want that. I do not. I like my circle small. I like having my, few friends that I truly trust. And I don't feel pressure amongst those friends. I can definitely count them on my two hands.
Oh, yeah.
Like my close friends who I trust with everything and can be my complete self around.
Yeah.
But in addition to those core friends that I have, there's all these different pockets. There's these pockets of friends that I've met along the way that they're cool. I just don't fit in with them. Because I've been trying that even out here and even in my adult life.
Yeah.
Just trying to, I go from this group and it's like, okay, well, we don't really, vibe on any sort of art or fashion or anything like that. But I vibe with this group on fashion and dance and culture, but I'm not really on what they're on like that. And these people have been there for me, so it's this weird, just constant trying to morph into this sense of belonging, But for now, I do know.
I was gonna say, I think kids, when you're in high school and stuff, your group of friends, or the group of people you hang out with, is kind of your identity. When I was in high school, there was all these cliques, and it was you need to be a part of this group to have an identity.
Totally.
Where it's now I have an identity. I don't care. I don't need these people to validate me. So it's if you're a good person, we're cool. If you got my back, we're cool. And all my friends are kind of random. If you saw my best friends, they're really random, and none of them represent one thing together, but they all represent me. That's the thing in common. It's they all address stuff that I care about, that I love, and we might have different bonds of stuff, but at the end of the day, the common part is that they got my back, and that's all I care about now.
I agree with that. I can relate.
And some drink, some don't, some smoke, some don't. It's I don't really care, because that's so nothing.
Totally.
At this point.
That it's such a young mentality. Because I grew up just constantly just wanting to belong. I didn't have a strong sense of individuality, that I still have that. I still carry on that trauma. We're all just adults living out our childhood traumas, but that's another episode.
I was saying before, I don't think I would have came out here if you weren't out here. And a lot of people think even that's crazy. They're so you went out to LA and you knew one person? And I was like, yeah, I guess. But I was I don't know. It just didn't matter to me for whatever reason, because at the end of the day, I knew I wasn't coming out here to be friends or look for friends per se. I was coming out here to
work.
Have a career and stuff.
Well, that's the only reason I came out here. I literally just had this conversation the other day. So to kind of want to backpedal a little bit, you said circle. I would say right now, currently, the people that I enjoy being around and the circle that I do feel a part of are fellow creatives, fellow small business owners, fellow entrepreneurs, that type of people. Yeah. Those are the people that I enjoy. And some of them are, 20 years older than I am.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean anything to me if we can vibe off of what we're doing right now, what we're doing and what we're trying to get out of life, then that's what I'm going for.
So with those types of people, what would you say that you guys bond over?
I would say is we bond for our passion to build and build and build, and where that is our priority. I didn't come out here to find love. I didn't come out here to make friends. All that stuff is bonuses. If I get that, amazing.
Yeah.
Do I want that in life? I do. But I didn't come out to LA to do anything else but to build a life that I had always envisioned for my loved ones. It's the only reason I came out here. Career Angel's like focused, has everything together, but then there's a personal Angel, and she wants to fit in and stuff. So when she's outside of the work part of it, she's kind of like, what does she do? Where does she fit in?
Yeah. That was kind of crazy for me to hear from you because I think you're so like cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Just like cool in the sense of, like, you dress cool, like you know how like what's hot, and you're good in public places around like people that you don't know. Like you're a good conversationalist and stuff.
Sure.
And I feel like those are all things that I kind of lack. And so to hear you say that was like, to me, because I was like, what? You feel like you don't fit? I'm the one who like drew on my clothes in high school.
No, but you drink and smoke to this day, so I feel like that kind of gives you this of instant camaraderie with people.
But it doesn't.
To be honest.
But it doesn't. And that's what that was the whole point of this, was like, I wanted to have this whole conversation to say that is a complete facade, because I think
that's all in my brain.
Yeah, and I think
totally.
it's so much more about like the people. I think drinking or smoking or whatever is a very like maybe icebreaker at the best. At the
You're
best.
Right.
But
You're
like
right.
realistically, it's way more about just like, are you a cool person? Are you interesting? Are you like a sociable person?
No, and I totally get that, because trust me, none of my friendships or relationships have been built off of drinking and smoking.
And it's like, if they are, it's like both of y'all got a problem, probably.
And those are just
like
your party friends. You know what I mean? And you have those too. But I think it really is just working through your own insecurities of trying to fit in to something. Yeah. When really you should be trying to be yourself.
And it's like the cool people are always the ones who are being themselves, and then everybody else starts trying to like be down with what they're doing.
No, absolutely.
Because a lot of like the most famous people, the artists that you love and stuff, are like super weird. And like, can you imagine like just being at high school and like Prince is in your high school?
Yeah.
Or like David Bowie? You just be like, man, that guy is super weird. But like, these are people who shaped like American culture, like our icons. But it was because they weren't trying to fit in.
Right, but again, it's one of those things where you learn as you get older.
No, totally.
You know, because for me, like, I have little remnants of childhood trauma. You know what I mean? That I still feel here and there. But at the end of the day, I know who I am, and I know who has my back, and that circle is pretty small. And it's closed off. Just kidding. Not really, but yeah. At the end of the day, it really is just, I guess, being vulnerable. Me being vulnerable has given me power.
Wow.
All of the times I tried to fit in, I was molding myself into something that I wasn't. Mm-hmm. But when I was actually myself and being vulnerable, that's when I really developed true relationships and true friendships. And that's when my life started to make sense, is me being open and me being vulnerable.
Well, I think that's a good point to end it. What do you guys think? Like, do you think drinking or smoking helps you fit in? Does it make social situations less awkward? And then how long can you really carry that, you know?
Yeah, without any other sort of substance.
Right, because I don't really think it lasts too long. Remember to like and share. Shout out to everybody who supported us from the last episode. Thank you again, Sophie. You're the greatest.
Thank you so much for telling your story. I know that that's not easy either, so we really appreciate you, and couldn't have a better first guest. Could not have picked a better first guest.
You're definitely one of our friends now.
Oh, and we're working on merch.
Oh, yeah.
So get ready. We gonna have some shirts for y'all.
Ah.
Okay, bye.